Welcome back to the Sideboard podcast, guys. This is Caleb and Tim checking in with our special guest, Markus Kantarci,
What's up, guys?
for another episode.
How's it going?
It's going good. How's everyone doing?
Doing great.
Pretty good.
Doing great. All right, so the title of our episode for this podcast is going to be The Status Quo is Dead. Now we live in the time of plus threes. Markus, do you want to take that away first? I know you had a comment a few weeks ago about plus threes.
Yeah, I think we were talking in a team brainstorming session, and I kind of brought it up that the meta is changing, the game is changing, where the standard, plus oneing is not as good anymore. We're kind of evolved to a point, or maybe power crept to a point where you need to be able to pull off some crazy stuff with your leader in order to get some really good value and then out-resource your opponent. So I think it's kind of the era of plus three, and I think we're redefining what are good leaders and what are not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree. I was thinking about sort of the definition of plussing and minusing in card games, and it's a kind of an interesting topic nowadays because not everything is a draw. It's not like draw 2, draw 3, whatever. And so sometimes gaining the value with a card like Obuni, which I know is like your favorite card in the game, is just because it gets, 4 bodies on the board, which means they have to protect 4 attacks. So have you guys had any experiences recently with like pluses and minuses that were pretty impactful?
For me, well, right off the bat, when set 10 was revealed, we saw Vegex being like the boogeyman, so to say, coming out with, all the attacks it was able to pull off, all the bodies on board it could bring with its leader skill. So that kind of showed me where the game was headed towards. And even though they banned some of the cards for it, you still see what that leader is capable of. So that's what kind of sparked me to say the whole plus 3 mentioning. If you go back in date and look at some old leaders like before set 10, something like Brawly BR, for example, which I played all the time, it was really good because you swing, you take a life, and you draw a card. You see 2 cards, and even then that was not considered a plus 2 because you're taking a life. I don't consider that gaining value, but it still let you see 2 cards. But the backside, it had the potential to be something like a plus 2, where you could restand leader again and swing again and just gain lots of value off it. And so something like that was very impactful in the meta game and very popular. And now looking at the leaders we have now today, they just clearly like outshine the older leaders. Gotenks, Vegito, Zamasu, Vegex, all these leaders do way more than the standard just swing draw 1.
Yeah. Would you consider this to be power creep?
I would say so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you look at it from a leader to leader perspective, absolutely, it's power crept a lot.
Yeah. What do you think, Tim?
I think definitely the leaders from the last couple of sets and even supplemental products definitely are more powerful and feel like they've been power crept. But I also kind of think it's good for the game to move forward. If new products are having leaders that are worse than older products, you're not going to sell product.
Right.
I think it's kind of cool that they're diversifying, what leaders do nowadays versus just, draw 1 on attack. Because now you get to play like really synergistic decks versus, you just draw 1 off leader, play a battle card, maybe 2 on your turn, and that's it.
Yeah, it creates like a sense of identity. I talked about in some of our past episodes, and I'm always hammering in our team discussions, color identity is really important because, people want their deck to be unique and it not to do the exact same thing as someone else's. And so the different colors need to have their own way of getting value, or in this case, plussing.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the things I was thinking about with power creep was, like you said, Tim, at the end of the day, Bandai is a business, and they need to sell product. And so power creep almost has to exist in games because they need you to buy the new cards. So if like a set 1 deck was still relevant, like, Tricolor Ginyu, you wouldn't buy new cards unless you wanted them. And so that's how they make you want them.
It's also really hard to, balance a game over the years to the point where you don't power creep it. Like, it's just a natural part of progression because the game's been out for 3 years, and it's not like it happened overnight. It just got to this point now where we're noticing it, and we're comparing it to the older times and noticing it. So it's only normal that it happens, because if it doesn't happen, then the game might get stale. It's just the same effects, same play styles, just rehashed a little differently to different characters. So the game might get stale. But yeah, it's also, like you mentioned, it's a good way to move product. It just makes it attractive to get new cards, and it's a good thing because it keeps the game fresh.
That does bring up a question I have. It's a bit of a hot take. Might get some heat from the community on this one. But on the topic of power creep and all of that, that does, bring the question of, if this game may need some sort of rotation or more than one format to keep the game fresh and keep power creep at a level that isn't pricing a million people out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on it, I think it's not necessary because of how every set that we come up with, we're getting introduced a new meta deck that somehow becomes very relevant and popular in the meta. And the power creep in its form is a sense of rotation itself. So you don't need to just say, all right, these cards are completely out, but you could indirectly make them go out by making them not so playable. For example, one card I think about all the time is like Foreseeing Hit. It was so popular, included in every red deck. Red decks were everywhere, or they were splashed in. And yeah, it was considered one of the best, if not the best, 4-drop. You just play it, you see hand knowledge, which is insane in this game, and you take away 2 cards. And now look at it. It's like nowhere.
Once set 7 hit, that card died.
Right. So that didn't happen because of a rotation, which the TOP box, right? That's a long ways from now. Like, it was pretty far back. So in any other game, it might have been rotated out via rotation, but in this game, it kind of went out of style because of all the other good cards that came out. So that's why I don't think rotation is necessarily needed.
I just want to point out that over the weekend in the Team Wars event, I got Foreseeing Hit like 3 times.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was not fun.
I guess old habits die hard, right?
Yeah. It was rough.
But kind of going a little bit more on that, not necessarily just like a hard rotation, but with that comes the possibility of more than one format in the game. At TOP in February, we had our no ban list,
right?
Or some people were calling it like Dragon Ball Classic and stuff like that. I think that kind of thing going hand in hand with some sort of rotation could actually be good for the game.
Yeah, I don't know if the game is big enough to support that right now. I think the multiple format idea is great, and right now we do have somewhat of a multiple format with the team format and then constructed, but I just don't know if the game is big enough to do that right now at this time. Maybe in the future, if it gets maybe like triples in size or something, where you do want multiple formats for the sake of reducing maybe attendance in one format because you don't want to overload the system, so to say. Maybe, but overall, I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Or even helping, the developers with card design, because then, they don't have to look at as wide of a card pool and how,
right,
the set they're creating might impact with older cards.
Right, that's true. And
so I think it's just something to think about. If
right.
anyone from Bandai is listening, definitely something that I think could in the future be be better for the game than what some people think.
Yeah, maybe in the future. I just know right now there's a big negative reaction
Yeah.
to it. A lot of people don't want it, me included. I don't see it being necessary, so that's why I'm not for it. But if it got to the point where yeah, it's just necessary to do it, the card pool is huge. Every set, all these broken combos are being found because of existing past cards.
Exactly.
Then sure, you could consider it at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, for now, I think it's okay the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people's arguments are that power creep will naturally rotate cards, like you were saying. Certain things are just not playable anymore. But I think it's still okay to keep them in the meta because Bandai likes to print a lot of support cards. And so when they do that, it brings back other cards, like, for example, the new Vegito cards in the anniversary box. Everyone who has been collecting game for a long time had, 4 of those green Vegitos, which were like less than $1, and now they're like $15, which I think is pretty healthy, even though like buyouts aside, buyouts are not the greatest thing in my opinion. Like it hurts my wallet, but just bringing the value of old cards back, like, because if I don't want to play that archetype, I can at least sell it and make some money off my old cards,
Right.
which creates a market for the game and helps it grow.
Yeah, I did notice that, Bandai could always decide to support those older cards, with cards they print in the future. It's so easy in Dragon Ball to do that too, just a simple effect like the Vegito anniversary cards where you say, all right, pay 2 energy, put in play this cost card, from your deck. And now all of a sudden that, extremely high costed card that was unplayable is now suddenly playable because it comes into play for a lot less. So Bandai has the ability to always print and design and make old cards relevant again. So that's also really cool. And I do like what they did with Vegito for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so like we said before, the status quo is dead. So when you guys are building decks, just remember this is a value game, and you need to be like +3 in value, whether that means discarding the opponent's hand or drawing cards or going wide with the board or something like that. You need to keep the value up.
Yeah, Dragon Ball at the end of the day is a game of resources, right? Because you win by damage, which comes through combo power, and whoever has more combo power wins. And how you determine that? It's with your hand size and how many things you have on board. So when you have a leader that really pushes that to the max, it's going to help you win games.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I know when Set 10 came out, I was, all aboard the Vegex train. Not entirely because of, how busted U3 was, but I know Caleb's seen I still play Vegex a lot, and it's because of the leader. The leader generates so much value, and, you get to a point where any other deck in the game you would lose because you deck out. But now you just get to see your entire deck again.
Yeah.
And, it's something that's unique to that leader, and it's, just value that generates over and over and over again.
I think Vegex has, 4 cards that have the potential to be put in play from the mill.
5 now because of the champ pack Vegex.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so, yeah, that milling effect is a free effect, right? And on average, you're going to hit maybe 2. So, and then do you draw one as well when you mill?
It's mill 5 and then draw 1.
Right. So you're gonna get your standard +1. That when this card attacks, draw 1. It's the same thing. You draw your card, and then when you mill and you hit 2 pieces, that's 2 extra cards you just got. So you're plussing 3. And Vegex is not the only one to do it. Although Vegex can do it easier, other decks can do it as well, which is pretty cool. Like Blue has Zamasu. I'm a big fan of Zamasu right now. I think it's the best deck that I've played so far, and that has the ability with combination of other cards like Zeno, the Unison. You could get dual attack. You swing twice, and you drew twice with your leader. But the underrated part is your opponent has to defend that second attack. So they're using cards to defend that second attack, so you're indirectly plussing there as well. So Zamasu is great. It does a +3. When I first started this meta, I played the yellow Gotenks a lot because it had the ability to draw, off extra card use if my opponent used them. And it's on either player's turn. So you could theoretically draw one on your turn, one on their turn, and then the standard leader swing draws one. So you could also get +3 from there. So yeah, all these leaders have stuff built in. I think, Dredgeku is like the popular, or Nuku. I like Nuku term more. Joey posted that recently. But, that has the ability to just wipe the board. It gains value that way. I don't know what Red has. Red is a little lackluster right now, but it's kind of the direction where the game's going, I think, where you have these really, really strong leaders that do crazy things.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that wraps up our primary topic for today, but we do have a lot of community questions actually. So let's just dig right into those. So for our first one, I'm just going to answer this one right away. It's from one of our viewers, Justin Collins. He's a local that we all know actually. Love that guy. He's awesome. His question is, why does Bandai hate Android 13 so much? Is it because he's a redneck? No, Dustin. But we'll talk about that later in another episode. So, to be announced.
I don't know the answer to that one. I don't know.
It's an inside joke because the Troop card, the 14-15 card, got errated to not work with Android 13 chain. So, yeah, we'll have a little episode about that later.
All right, I've got a few questions from another listener, Franklin Robles. First question is, what is our opinion with how Bandai handles reprints and high-end cards? Should they be more available? Should they have them in prize packs, or maybe have special alternate art editions as box toppers or lottery cards?
It's a great question. I actually recently got into an argument with Beard about that. We were having a conversation about, how promos should be handled. And I'm a big fan of exclusivity. I like cards being exclusive, a little hard to get, just because it rewards you. Like if I go to locals, for example, and, I'm not playing a local tournament, I want to get that exclusive promo card that you only get for going to locals. This way, my time and effort that went to going to locals, it gets somewhat rewarded because, you're paying to play in the event, and you're spending, at least 3-4 hours of your time playing in a local event. Yes, it's all fun. Yes, I truly enjoy it. But at the same time, you want that little bit of a sense of accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that through the prizing that you get. Even if you won just 6 packs, right? It's just, you feel happy because you won 6 packs. So I like it when cards are exclusive and you could go ahead and either keep it or sell it for a premium price. I like that a lot. But at the same time, they do have to be available. It can't be where it's completely exclusive. No one can get their hands on it. And now you have a really powerful card that everybody needs to be competitive, and they can't get it unless they spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I don't agree with that at all. It needs to be very available. Right now, we see a big spike of the promo cards coming in. Champ Pack Volume 2022, I think. And we see the cooler card. I sold one recently for $150. And
that's crazy.
It really is. From my perspective, I'm super happy because I just sold a card for $150, right? Now, from the buyer's perspective, if he's willing to pay that because he wants the card right now, great. All the power to him. But now for the rest of the field and the rest of the players who can't afford that, there's also good news because they're going to be more and more available as time goes on. So you don't need to get the promo packs right away and, be competitive right away. There's a lot of alternative options out there. In time, everything will be available, and I like that. But cards like Saiyan Instincts from Draft Box 4, Raiders of Warcry Draft Box 4, that stuff, I do not agree with at all. I think those things need to be reprinted more and more available to everybody, because that was a short printed set to begin with, and it drastically warped the meta to begin with. A lot of those cards are still played today, shaping the meta. And I don't think it's very good for the game when cards like that are so exclusive and there's nothing being done to reintroduce them into the, economy of the game, so to say. So I think those need to be reprinted more on a regular basis.
Do you think that maybe like promos from tournaments and that kind of stuff should just be like alternate art reprints of cards and not, its own exclusive promo that you can't get anywhere else?
The cards from tournaments like locals and these premier online events,
Or just promos in general?
in general, no, I think they should be exclusive, because I feel like if you do alternate art cards, then it's going to devalue the time and effort went into going to those events to begin with, and now it's going to give everybody a sense of it's just not worth it for me to go. Thus, it's going to reduce the amount of attendance and the amount of people interested in the game. And I feel like it will hurt the game. I don't have the data to back it up, but I feel like we've seen a lot of people join events for the sake of participation price to get these promos, right? And even if they're joining just to join the event, there probably will be a few that joined to get the promo packs and still ended up liking the overall experience and decide to come back, and next thing you know, they learn to play Dragon Ball, they play it, and they become a regular. And just having that opportunity means that it's going to increase the amount of players. I think it's a good thing for the game, but once again, it's all just opinion. But either way, cards need to be available and accessible for players. You can't have them super exclusive. I think alt arts, to go back to alt arts, I think alt arts would be really, really cool for like top 8 finishers at a tournament, where let's say, we're giving away like, so Obuni is a pretty hot card right now, top 8 at the premier online event, they get an alternate art Obuni, and only those guys get it. And there you go. Now everybody still has Obunis, which is actually a limited card, but you get the idea that, the alternate art is so rare that it actually is worth something.
Yeah, because I know like with, for example, Magic, because that's the game I came from, their Grand Prix, or now they're called Magic Fests. Your entry pricing is an alternate art of a staple from some format, whether it be standard, modern, legacy, or for their Commander events, which is multiplayer games. I know this last year it was like a Soul Ring, I believe.
Yeah, there was a Soul Ring, which very good.
Yeah, they always fetch like a premium price over the regular printings of the cards. People, I'm sure people love to bling out their decks.
Right.
And
because
alternate arts are a great way to do that for people.
Right, yeah, it really is. And Magic is a huge game to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So when you have, the player base of Magic, let's say, it's extremely large. Like, let's say they have 100,000 players, right? But then you're holding this event where only 1,000 players get the promo, then yes, it's going to be worth quite a penny, and it's going to make it rewarding to go to that event. But I don't think Dragon Ball is at that point where we could say that, where our player base is so big that if everybody gets alternate art cards, there's still going to be a huge demand outside of the event. I don't think it will be that way.
Maybe somewhere in the future.
Yeah, maybe in the future.
The promo system gets revamped or rebooted.
Yeah, I think currently the important part is card availability over card exclusivity.
When was the last time we had a promo card that was worth like a lot, where it was?
I would say the first
super
one that
exclusive.
comes to mind is Nat's stamped Senzubin.
Okay, but that was like an alternate art card, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like an exclusive card. Has there ever been an exclusive tournament pack card that was just not available, so nobody could get it, or it was worth a lot of money?
Demon Sword Janemba.
Okay. How much do you think the price was for that at its peak?
At its peak, like right before Nats, when I remember we were getting ready, I paid $25 a piece, which for the time was kind of pricey, because the most expensive card I think was like Tournament of Power, like Awakened Power Son Goku and stuff like that.
Right. And then as time went by,
It shot down. I think they're less than $1.
yeah, like because every local started having those tournament packs everywhere,
And it got reprinted.
Right, like it's just so far I've seen from this game that all the quote unquote exclusive cards within like a month or two become very non-exclusive. Everybody has them.
Or banned.
Yeah, so
Turles.
I don't think we have a problem with exclusivity in this game. Unless you want it now. If you're one of those guys who needs to have it now, then yep, you're going to pay a premium price for it. You know, if you want to play Janemba right away, then yeah, you're going to have to pay a premium for it. But if you don't, then just play Shenron Gogeta. Still good.
Yep. Yep. All right, let's move on to another question. This one is from John Stokes, another community member. He says, what character that doesn't have a leader would you like to have a leader? What color or mechanic do you think they should have? So if you had to pick one.
Interesting, because I feel like we've hit almost like every character, right? What character did we not hit?
For me, it would be, because I come from Pansy, the Panini Dragon Ball Z game. So one of the characters, actually, there's actually two that I thought about. One was Turles. It'd be cool for a Turles leader.
It'd be sweet.
And I think he should be in red, just because of Red Ruthless Turles. If you get the reference, then you'll understand. But the other one I thought about was Nail from Namekian.
Oh yeah.
I always thought Namekians should be like a life gain deck, so like a Nail, something to do them some justice, because Namekians have been basically terrible since they came out.
Yeah, Bond, not such a great mechanic.
Except for the Draft Box Piccolo. That's the only card.
Speaking of the makings, I guess Pycon is a popular character that didn't have a leader.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people,
Yeah,
you know,
he's
when
pretty
this
popular.
question gets posted from time to time, there's
Right.
a lot of people that like torch and pitchforks. Where's our PyCon
Yeah.
leader?
And then I guess going with that theme, didn't they have like a different Kai, like the Grand Kai or something? He's like this crazy like
Yeah, the crazy old
motorcycle
man.
riding looking guy, you know, with white hair and everything.
Yeah, Tim was mentioning if they made like a Kai archetype that was just all about all the Grand Kais and stuff, that would be pretty cool.
Or even
Very
something
cool.
that's just like Otherworld themed.
Yeah,
Like maybe like a theme booster that's like an Otherworld tournament. Something like that. I think it'd be pretty cool.
we had a little bit of that in like Cross World and stuff earlier in the Dragon Ball game. But yeah, that would be cool. So I think
There is one character I would love to see a leader of, which is Tien.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
that's
I
right.
think that'd be sweet. He was one of
That's
my
right.
favorites watching Dragon Ball Z as a kid.
I think if they make Tien, they need to make like some kind of effect where he can do Kikoho, the cell scene where he's like Kikoho, 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 and just like on his backside, just make him like 10k or something, but give him triple attack. I don't know.
Make a little Chaozu that just bombs something. Oh, they did. They did that in was it World Martial Arts?
Something like that, yeah.
Or maybe give Chaozu like a unison or something.
Yeah, where he blows up the board.
It'd be pretty
I
cool.
see. Yeah, I do, as far as effects go, going back to that question, I do like mechanics that somehow deal damage without battle. So something like that would be pretty fun. You know, something unconventional. So you could do something like give your
Not
leader
catastrophic blow.
Yeah, not like that. A catastrophic blow for one energy. Nothing like that. But more of you're building up to it. So maybe you could say something like, you know, if you're playing the Grand Kai leader and you say, all right, you know, if you have 2 martial art tournament battle cards in play, you know, you get some sort of effect. And if you have 3, you get to deal 1 damage. I don't know. Something like builds up to things and lets you deal damage without combat. I like that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
It'd be cool. I think another one that would also be sweet would be a Dabura leader. That'd be pretty cool.
You know, you said Bond was kind of crappy mechanic. It would be kind of cool now that I'm thinking about it. What if you had a leader that had like Bond 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then
just had
each
a different
one has a
effect?
different effect?
I think that'd be a cool way to
Yeah.
kind of revamp the mechanic and power it up a little bit.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's pretty cool.
I mean, it goes back to what Marcus was saying about when we had our status quo section for leaders, where making powerful leaders will generically make archetypes better because they need a strong like forefront.
Right.
So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so I would do something like that then.
That'd be pretty cool. I can get behind that. Next question is from another one of our locals, Bilal. Got a long one here. Let's go piece by piece. What are your thoughts on a meta that is finally diverse enough to see a variety of leaders, as opposed to the last probably 3-4 metas we've had that have been pretty rock paper scissors?
I think it's great. I think it's a very skill intensive format now, because there is so many cards out there that are all good and so many decks that are all good. I think now the true skill is going to come from knowing the card pool and knowing what these decks are capable of and adjusting your strategy accordingly, because there's no way you could prepare your own deck for everything that's out there, because every deck does something really good on turn 5.
Yeah.
You know, when we looked at the meta maybe 4 months ago plus, decks that were good were considered decks that could win on turn 4 or turn 5. And there was only a handful of decks that could do that. But now, I want to say, in combination with secret rares getting better and better in general, that there's a lot of decks out there that could win on turn 5 fairly easy. So it's a very diverse format. It's very skill intensive, and I'm liking it a lot for sure.
Yeah, it kind of feels like archetypes have definitely kind of cemented themselves, where before, you know, pretty much any deck could play an aggro game, but now you're seeing very defined aggro versus, you know, your defined mid-range, defined control. And then if we even have combo in the format right now,
Invoker.
I guess, yeah, that's a control deck still, though.
It could still combo kill you with
Yeah,
burn.
it has the potential to combo kill you.
Yeah.
Also, the card pool is so large now. You know, when you look at a deck like Invoker, for example, there's many different builds to it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's just one build and you play around it. Nope. Some play Topo, some don't. You know, same thing with yellow. Some play Time Magic, some play Nimbus, some play No Negates. So back then, all the deck lists were kind of defined, and you know what was coming. You knew what they were capable of. But now the card pool is so large that every deck, even if it's the same deck, even if it's like yellow Go Tanks, it could have a different version, different tech choices in all 3 of them. And they'll all still be really good.
Yeah. So on to a little bit of a more comical question. Josh Valenzuela, our teammate, has asked you, how do you feel about Jocko?
I see. I feel like we need to kick Josh off the team, maybe. That's what we got to do. That's how I feel like.
Demotion confirmed.
Yeah, for people that don't know, that's an inside joke as well. It was like set 1 shop championships, I think. And I was playing Yellow Ginyu. He was playing, I think, Crit Vegeta. And I swung for game. And I had like 4 or 5 card hand advantage on him. Like, I was destroying him. And I dumped my hand in for that all-in combo. And he just goes, yeah, Jocko, send that 10k back. Jocko, send that other 10k back. Jocko. And then I think he like super comboed Jocko again. Oh my god. And yeah, I lost. I tapped out and like went all in on an attack. And
The disrespect.
then he just killed me the next turn. So yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I don't like Jocko.
As a big black deck player, I am also on board with get Jocko out of here.
Yeah.
I like my Bibbities.
Dump
I'd
all
like
4
to
men.
Keep them in the combo area.
Yeah.
Nope. Not allowed. Not allowed. Okay, so I think we're going to round off the rest of the questions here with a question by Ferris Wawi. It's kind of a multi-tier question. So it says, what do you think is the best tournament deck for each color?
Oh man. Each color. Okay, that's actually not too bad. So black, Vegex,
Hands
green.
down.
Green, I guess. The new Goku is pretty good for now. I can't think of anything else for green. Um, Yellow, Go Tanks.
Go Tanks.
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Actually, Sin Shenron is also very, very strong. I would take that back. I think I would say Sin Shenron is Yellow's best, even though Go Tanks is still very strong. For blue, Zamasu, I think is the best. Better than Vegito. And what else? Red? Red. What is the red?
I mean, who even plays
Um,
Vegito these days? Like that one guy named Andy or something.
Yeah, only scrubs play Vegito. Just kidding. But Vegito's still very strong, but I prefer Zamasu.
I think Zamasu gets the leg on Vegito because you're
Mhm.
naturally playing an aggro deck, but you can very easily transition into, you know, mid range or
Correct.
a deck that goes long.
Correct.
Whereas Vegito can't. He
Vegito
can't
does
do
one thing.
Yeah, he just does one thing, which is not die.
And he does it well though. Like, and he also can steal games with the threat of a triple strike always being ready to go. But I think overall, against the range of decks out there, I think Zamasu does a better job. It adapts better. But head to head, I do think Vegito is stronger than Zamasu head to head. So that's the beauty of the format. That you have two blue decks that essentially are almost the same in their deck build, but one is clearly better than
one's
the other
better
against
the field,
right
and the other is better against
itself, so to say.
Yeah.
And then for red, I think it's a little
Red's in a
unconventional.
weird place.
I saw some people play Hit Leader, and I liked Hit.
Don't
it's-
give me the nightmares, man. That was
it's a little
rough.
unexplored, but I think Hit might have some potential, and I like him a lot. And for black, I said Vegex earlier, but Skillless is also really strong. But I still think Vegex gets the edge. So,
Yeah, I think I would put Skillless in sort of that hybrid, like Surge Leader
Mhm.
color pie chart because they're not just mono black most of the time.
Right.
They're black blue, black red, something.
And then I guess for dual color leaders, Invoker is pretty strong. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
Evoker's
and
definitely the
Surge
standout.
Cell,
Yeah.
and the others.
Mhm.
I guess Surge Broly's still probably pretty good, but the others just don't exist.
Yeah, basically.
Mhm.
Okay, and then the next part of his question is if you had to rate the colors by tiers,
Mhm.
strongest to weakest. I don't know. Like
That's
just thinking
tough.
about that, it's pretty hard. I think each color checks another color in a way.
Right. I think overall, I mean, I have to go with what I'm playing right now, which is blue. I think blue does everything overall really, really good. It plays the value game really good. It has a good defensive game. It just does both ends of the table really good, offense and defense.
Do you think they would be in that spot if they didn't have a Booney?
Um,
I
Kinda.
personally don't think so.
It depends, because, for example, like I was just talking about with some people earlier, they're talking about oh, green has a counter to Obuni. They play hidden power of the Saiyans or something, and in my mind I was like, but if I'm the blue player, I'm not playing Obuni against green anyway because dormant potential just destroys Obuni. So Obuni is only good against maybe red
Yellow.
and maybe yellow.
It's
Yeah.
amazing against yellow.
Yeah.
Black.
And that also depends too. Like if yellow's playing Flying Nimbus, and like maybe make Kabura and stuff, it could deal with it. But yeah, Obuni is not that insane card that makes blue, but it definitely does give it that power boost. When you play a turn 3 Obuni with Zeno, that is a huge tempo swing.
I think something unique about Obuni is that he has so much versatility.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can play it with the intent to have 4 attacks, and then say you get Nimbus or something, you still have 15k worth of combo power on board.
Correct.
So
yeah.
you kind of get dual use out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely a strong card, depending on the matchup. But yeah, as far as the color tiers go, I like blue the most. Black is maybe my second favorite, then green, and then yellow, and then red. But still gotta explore. There's a lot of stuff to explore. I just landed on blue right now, and I'm liking it a lot. And whenever I like something and I'm done testing with it, like I would say I'm pretty confident that I've explored Zamasu to the most I can, and I kind of know the ins and out of it already. So now I always try to find a way to beat it. What can consistently beat it? What's out there that's better? And so right now that's the phase I'm in where I'm trying to brainstorm and figure it out. I'm having a tough time, but I do think maybe black might have an answer to that. So I have to get back to the lab and figure it out.
Yeah. So moving on to we're just gonna skip to the final part of his question. What's your personal favorite color for fun? I know that's
For
kind of
fun.
a question that competitive players don't really think about because, like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, my brother hasn't been playing since like Cell Chain era,
Yeah.
and since I play so much, he naturally knows a lot of the cards, and so he's like, "Hey, what do you think about this fun deck?" And I'm like, "Well, it's trash, because like it can't beat any competitive decks. But I mean, for fun, it might be pretty decent."
Right. I haven't made too many decks for fun, but out of the decks I've played recently, like on stream, and the most I've had fun was the Gogeta BR deck. That was pretty fun to play, where, I put in play Veku and hope they don't kill it, by some stupid means, and then I get to ramp a lot, and I have like 8-10 energy. I get to pitch the energies, draw two. It's a lot of fun for sure, but yeah, it was not competitive enough. When you played Veku, they would play Trunks and bounce it back to your hand, and that felt pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
That's-
just one of those things where like when you make a fun deck and then you take it to locals, but then you don't realize your locals are filled with competitive players because they're all your friends, and you just get smacked.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, no more fun decks.
Yeah, I think with this question, it's important for people to understand that fun is objective. So, like,
True.
mine or your definition of fun can be drastically different than, one of any number of people listening. A conversation that comes up a lot when we're playtesting with our group is people will say, this deck is for fun. I'm always, right there ready with, well, winning's fun too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not to say that losing's, unfun, but it just kind of depends on the person and, their goal. Playing just to win isn't the only way to play, but also, you can't knock someone for that being their definition of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the record, I'm having a ton of fun with Zamasu, and I think he's, a very competitive deck, but I'm having a ton of fun with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know you guys have seen me on the Vegex train again since it was released. I've played 4 or 5 different versions of the deck now. All of them have been super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some level of success with probably 3 of them. I think outside of U3, my most favorite has actually been what I've in person been playing, which is just double strike dot deck, which, you'd think, well, Massane just does that better, but then you realize burst 5 is infinitely better than burst 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to kill your opponent when you only have to attack 4 times
Yeah.
or hit 4 times.
Or, in these weird corner case matchups like in Team Wars against the starter Broly, I only attacked him 4 times, but 3 of which were with a unison.
Right.
And he died on turn 2,
Mm-hmm.
and I was unawakened.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah, it's been an interesting meta. I mean, this new set has really opened up a lot of stuff with the unisons and everything. I'm actually really liking the game where it's at. It's got a lot of variety, which I like. Every color seems to be viable now, which is really cool.
I think the game is getting to a place where it rewards critical thinking and decision making now more than before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had a good example of that with our Team Wars event where We ended up playing 2 rounds. It was 3 round Swiss, and 2 of the rounds we played against them in Top Cut as well. And one of my opponents I played this for the second time was Reboot Hit, and like Marcus said, it's probably one of the better red leaders. And I was playing Sen Shenron. It was an extremely hard matchup the first time because, he discards a card, kills my blocker or my double striker, so my war cries and stuff. So I was just like, man, how do I beat this, right? And so the first game I just got smacked because with that plus his unison ripping cards out of my hand plus his counterplays and all this stuff, I just couldn't keep a board. And then the second game, I just focused on playing to the outs of his strategies. So like negging my 15Ks, I would make sure to play like a 19K or a 30K or something bigger than 15 so it doesn't die. And those cards I would just pitch to the drop. And then my basically only way to win was to sell Xeno plus the cooler, the Swift cooler. And so it just goes back to saying like every deck is beatable, even though it's a bad matchup. But with some critical thinking, you can overcome it.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that last week, maybe the week before, where a lot of times with this game, people will consider, a 60-40 a bad or even close to unwinnable matchup. Whereas, me personally, coming from the older formats in Magic, 60-40 that's go time. That's only 10% off of 50-50. It's absolutely a winnable matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And it just comes down to each individual person and, how they view the percentages and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts as we close here, guys? Marcus, anything?
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was really fun.
We appreciate you coming.
Yeah, check out, my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/EmperorCouscous, Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PST.
The shameless plug.
Yep, gotta throw that in there. Other than that, the game is a lot of fun. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I do wish COVID was not here so we could play more in person. But I think the online events are a good patch to what we do what we can work with, right? So I think it's okay for the time being.
It's kind of like a nice band-aid over the wound.
But eventually it'll get better. I'll start playing more. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to more and more Dragon Ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. So as we close, guys, just thank you for tuning in. This is the Sideboard podcast. Checking out. Have a good one.
See ya.